Esther 1. These events took place during the days of Ahasuerus, who ruled 127 provinces from India to Kush. In those days, King Ahasuerus reigned from his royal throne in the fortress at Susa. He held a feast in the third year of his reign for all his officials and staff, the army of Persia and Media, the nobles, and the officials from the provinces. He displayed the glorious wealth of his kingdom and the magnificent splendor of his greatest for a total of 180 days. At the end of this time, the king held a week-long banquet in the garden courtyard in the royal palace for all the people, from the greatest to the least, who were priests in the fortress of Susa. White and blue linen hanging were fastened with white and purple linen. Cords to silver rods on marble columns, gold and silver couches were arranged on the mosaic pavement of red feldspar, marble, mother of pearl, and precious stones. Drinks were served in an array of gold goblets, each with a different design. Royal wine flowed freely according to the king's bounty. The drinking was according to royal decree. There are no restrictions. The king had ordered every wine steward in his household to serve whatever each person wanted. Queen Vashti also gave a feast for the women of King Ahasuerus' palace. On the seventh day, when the king was feeling good from the wine, Ahasuerus commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zetha, and Carcas, the seventh eunuchs, who personally served him, to bring Queen Vashti from him with her royal crown. He wanted to show off her beauty to the people and the officials because she was very beautiful. But Queen Vashti refused to come at the king's command and was delivered by his eunuchs. The king became furious and his anger burned within him. The king consulted the wise men who understood the times, for it was his normal procedure to confirm with experts in law and justice. The most trusted ones were Karshina, Shethar, Anmatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsina, and Memucan. They were the seven officials of Persia and Media who had personal access to the king and occupied the highest positions in the kingdom. The king asked, according to the law, what should be done with Queen Vashti, since she refused to obey King Ahasuerus' command that was delivered by the eunuchs. Memucan said to the presence of the king and his officials, Queen Vashti has wronged not only the king, but all the officials and the people who are in every one of King Ahasuerus' provinces, for the queen's action will become public knowledge to all whom and cause them to despise their husband and say, King Ahasuerus ordered Queen Queen Vashti brought before him, but she did not come before this day. Before this day is over, there the noblewomen of Persia and Media who hear about the Queen Act will say the same thing to all the king's officials, resulting in more contacts and fury. If it meant the king's approval, he should personally issue a royal decree. Let it be recorded in law of the Persians and the Medians, so that it cannot be revoked. Vashti is not to enter King Ahasuerus' presence, and her royal position is to be given to another woman who is more worthy than she. The decree of the king issue will be heard throughout his vast kingdom, so all women with honor their husbands, from the greatest to the least. The king and his counselors approved the proposal, and he followed Memucan's advice. He sent letters to all the royal provinces, to each province in its own script, and to each ethnic group in its own language, that every man should be master of his own house and speak in the language of his own people.
Esther chapter 2. Sometime later, when King Ahasuerus' rage had cooled down, he remembered Vashti, what she had done, and what was decided against her. The king's personal attendants suggested, "Let a search be made for beautiful young virgins for the king. Let the king appoint commissioner in each province of his kingdom, so that they may gather all the beautiful young virgins to the harem at the fortress of Susa. Put them under the supervision of Haggai, the king's eunuch, keeper of the women, and give them the required beauty treatment. Then the young woman who pleased the king will become queen instead of Vashti." This suggestion pleased the king, and he did accordingly in the fortress of Susa. There was a Jewish man named Mordecai, son of Jair, son of Shimei, son of Kish, a Benjaminite. Kish had been taken into exile from Jerusalem with the other captive when King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon took King Jeconiah of Judah into exile. Mordecai was the legal guardian of his cousin Hadassah. That is Esther. Because she had no father or mother, the young woman had a beautiful figure and was extremely good-looking. When her father and mother died, Mordecai had adopted her into his own daughter. When the king's command and edict became public knowledge, and when many young women were gathered at the fortress of Susa under Haggai's supervision, Esther was taken to the palace into the supervision of Haggai, keeper of the women. The young woman pleased him and gained his favor, so that he accoladed the process of the beauty treatment. and the special diet that she received. He assigned 7 hand-picked female servants to her from the palace and transferred her and her servants to the harem's best quarters. Esther did not reveal her ethnicity or her family background because Mordecai had ordered her not to make them know. Every day Mordecai took a walk in the front of the harem's courtyard to learn how Esther was doing and to see what was happening to her. During the year before each young woman's turn to go to King Ahasuerus, the harem's regulation required her to receive beauty treatment with oil or myrrh for 6 months, then with perfume and cosmetics for another 6 months. When the young woman would go to the king, she was given whatever she required to take with her from the harems to the palace. She would go in the evening, and in the morning she would return to a second harem under the supervision of Kings Unach, Shazak, keeper of the concubines. She never went to the king again unless he desired her and summoned her by name. Esther was the daughter of Abihai, the uncle of Mordecai, who had adopted her as his own daughter. When her turn came to go the king, she did not ask for anything except what Haggai, the king's eunuch, keeper of the women, suggested. Esther gained favor in the eyes of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Ahasuerus in the palace in the 10th month, the month Tabath, in the 7th year of his region. The king loved Esther more than all the other women. She won more favor and approval from him than did any of the other virgins. He placed the royal crown on her head and made her queen in place of Vashti. The king held a great banquet for all his officials and staff. It was Esther's banquet. He freed his province from tax payment and gave gifts worthy of the king's bounty. When the virgins were gathered a second time, Mordecai was sitting on the king's gate. Esther still did not reveal her family background or her ethnicity. As Mordecai had directed, she obeyed Mordecai's orders as she always had while he raised her. During those days, while Mordecai was sitting in the king's gate, Bigthan and Teresh, 2 of the king's eunuchs who guarded the entrance, became infuriated and planned to assassinate King Ahasuerus. When Mordecai learned of the plot, he reported it to Queen Esther, and she told the king on Mordecai's behalf. When the report was investigated and verified, both the men were hanged on the gallows. This event was recorded in the historical record in the king's presence.
Esther 3. After all this took place, King Ahasuerus honored Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite. He promoted him in rank and gave him a higher position than all the other officials. The entire royal staff at the king's gate bowed down and paid homage to Haman, because the king had commanded this to be done for him. But Mordecai would not bow down or pay homage. The members of the royal staff at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why are you disobeying the king's command?" When they had warned him day after day, and he still wouldn't listen to them, they told Haman in order to see Mordecai's actions would be tolerated, since he was told them he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai was not bowing down or paying him homage, he was filled with rage, and when he learned of Mordecai's ethnic identity, it seemed repugnant to Haman to do away with Mordecai alone. He planned to destroy all of Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout Ahasuerus' kingdom. In the first month, the month of Nisan, in King Ahasuerus' 12th year, the pur, that is the lot, what cast before Haman for each day in each month, and it fell for the 12th month, the month Adar. Then Haman informed King Ahasuerus, "There is one ethnic group scattered throughout the people in every province of your kingdom, keeping themselves separated. Their laws are different from everyone else, and they do not obey the king's law. It is not the king's best interest to tolerate them. If the king approves, let an order be drawn by authorizing their destruction, and I will pay 375 tons of silver to the officials for the deposit of the royal treasury." The king removed his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. Then the king told Haman, "The money and the people are given to you to do with as you see fit." The royal scribes were summoned on the 13th day of the first month, and the order was written exactly as Haman commanded. It was indeed for the royal satraps, the governors of each of the provinces, and the officials of each ethnic group, and written for each province in its own script, and to each ethnic group in its own language. It was written in the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed with the royal signet ring. Letters were sent by couriers to each of the royal provinces, telling the officials to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jewish people, young and old, woman and child, and plunder their possessions on a single day. The 13th day of Adar, the 12th month, a copy of the next issued as law throughout every province was distributed to all the people, so that they might get ready for For that day, the Curies left spurred on by the royal command, and the law was issued in the fortress of Susa. The king and Haman sat down to drink while the city of Susa was in confusion.
Esther 4. When Mordecai learned all that had occurred, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, went into the middle of the city and cried loudly and bitterly. He went only as far as the king's gate, since the law prohibited anyone wearing sackcloth from entering the king's gate. There was great mourning among the Jewish people in every province where the king's command and edict reached. They fasted, wept, and lamented, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Esther's female servants and her eunuchs came and reported the news to her, and the queen was overcome with fear. She sent clothes for Mordecai to wear so that he would take off his sackcloth, but he did not accept them. As Esther summoned Hathach, one of the king's eunuchs, who attended her, and dispatched him to Mordecai to learn what he was doing and why. So Hathach went out to Mordecai in the city square in front of the king's gate. Mordecai told him everything that had happened, as well as the exact amount of money Haman had promised to pay the royal treasury for the slaughter of the Jews. Mordecai also gave him a copy of the written decree issued in Susa ordering their destruction, so that Hathach might show it to Esther, explain it to her, and command her to approach the king, implore his favor, and plead with him personally for her people. Hathach came and reported Mordecai's response to Esther. Esther spoke to Hathach and commanded him to tell Mordecai, all the royal officials and the people of the royal provinces know that one law applies to every man or woman who approached the king in the inner courtyard and who had not been summoned the death penalty unless the king extends the gold scepter, allowing the person to live. I have not been summoned to appear before the king for the last 30 days. Esther's response was reported to Mordecai. Mordecai told the message to reply to Esther, don't think that you will escape the fate of all the Jews because you are in the king's palace. If you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will come to the Jewish people from another place, but you and your father's family will be destroyed. Who knows, perhaps you have come to your royal position for such a time as this, Esther sent a reply to Mordecai. Go and assemble all the Jews who can be found in Susa and fast for me. Don't eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and I and my female servants will also fast in the same way. After that, I will go to the king, even if it is against the law. If I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went and did everything Esther had commanded him.